Welcome back. This is the last and final video in the series of videos on nomenclature of organic compounds containing functional groups. Now, I have already pre-wrote 5 compounds, and I think if you can answer, if you can even name these 5 or similar 5 at the end of the video, I would say that's success, right? Now, on to the left of the screen, you see a chart, okay? There are 3 columns. One is the actual functional group themselves, and the second column is the suffix, and the third column you see is prefix. Now this is where when you see prefix, that means there is more than one functional group present in the compound. Prefix is a term that's given to a compound that's of least priority, and then suffix is given to the compound of highest priority. Now if you look at the column, you see the arrow going up. That means acids always have the highest priority, and your ethers have the lowest priority. Okay? Now, I think with the list itself, now if you notice, I have purposefully kept the prefix to a very, very minimum because I have a clear idea on my mind on where I want this class to go and what type of compounds we want to see. For most of the time, the prefix you see will be the compounds that will be of least priority in a compound, and mostly anything that doesn't have a prefix would more likely be the compound of the majority or the highest priority group, which means the suffix goes with it. So with that said, let's name a few. Okay, I don't know if I want you to memorize this list. Probably won't give you the list. Still doesn't mean if you don't understand it, you can't do it. Okay. Think of this as kind of a blueprint or an answer key. It still doesn't mean that you can go ahead and name it if you don't have a really concrete understanding of where to put what. You still could get it wrong. Okay, so I could give you this list, and I'm challenging you that you may still get it wrong if you don't understand what is expressed in the video. Right? You have to process the information presented in the video. All right, if you look at the first compound, right? You've got a functional group, 2 functional groups. One of them is the chloral, which is the Cl. You see Cl is written as chloral. Okay, definitely lowest priority compared to if it's left open, that means this is a CH3. Okay, I didn't write it ahead of time because I want you to see it. Students assume that it's a hydrogen. No. If it's left open, that it's a CH3. If it's a hydrogen, it will usually be told that it is a hydrogen, right? So essentially, we have this long group that's attached to this carbon on one side and a CH3 on the other. So this is a ketone, right? Right. So first job is to find out the longest chain, and the longest chain numbering should also start from the side containing the functional group, which means I start from this side. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to switch colors during this entire video so you can see how things work. So this is a ketone, and the longest chain is pentane, right? So 5 carbons, so that's pentane. So right away you can write the last name, but the C double bond O is the ketone group that's in the 5 carbon chain. It's in the second spot. So it's pentanone. Okay, it's 2-pentanone. This is the last name. Okay, just leave it be. And we have to go figure out the first name using the prefix for the least priority groups. One of them is methyl, which is this, and the other is chloral. Cl stands for chloral. So again, you don't need to memorize this list, and that's in the 4th spot. Now, which one do we put front or back? Chloro is C, methyl is M. Alphabetically, C comes before M, so it will be 4-chloro, right? 3-methyl, 2-pentanone. And that's it. Does it seem difficult? It probably is, because I have never had you named this kind of a compound before. Of course, we did do some complicated compounds in Chem 330, but if you think this is complicated, you may have to watch what I did at least more than once, then you start to see a pattern coming out of it. Now, looking at the second compound, in this case, I do say it's a hydrogen. I didn't leave it open, right? So that means This whole thing is my functional group, and that is a aldehyde, right? Right. So now let's start numbering from the side containing the functional group. This is a carbon, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So that's again 5 carbons, so that's pentane. So it's an aldehyde, and it's in the first part, so you don't need to say anything. You can also say 1 pentanal, that is, get rid of the E, throw in the Al for the aldehyde. And then now let's go find the remainder of them. This is the low priority group, right? Anything with NH2 is low priority group compared to the aldehyde. So we use the prefix for it, which is amino, and that's A. This is methyl. So methyl comes after, M comes after A. So this would be 4 amino, 3 methyl, 1 pentanone, okay? 1 pentanal, sorry. Now again, same deal here. This is left open, that means this is a CH3. So we start numbering from this side, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that is 6 carbons, which is hexane. So you replace the E because it's a ketone, it's a hexanone, but we also have to remember to write the position of the C double bond O, which is 2, so 2-hexanone, that's the last name. Now let's go figure out the remainder of the first name. This OH group is alcohol, but if it's least priority compared to a ketone, which is here, so we use hydroxy. Okay, this is so the alcohol group. It looks better on paper, trust me. It's all straightened a little bit more. So it's hydroxy. This is amino. Again, amino comes before, so it will be 4 amino, 5 hydroxy, 2-hexanone. Right? All right, let's keep going. Where we have a nitrile, and we also have a ketone, right? Right? So ketone is below nitrile in functional group, right? So this would be, you have to figure it out in such a way that, you see, this is an oxo group, right? So how do we go about doing this? Well, you got to start numbering from the side containing the highest priority functional group. So it'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That means this now becomes a substituent. So 5 carbon is pentane, so it's pentane nitrile, right? So if you remember how we did nitrile, we just simply write the name, pentane nitrile, right? That means the remaining is all substituents, right? And then that means we have one methyl here, so 1, 2, right? And 2, 1, 2, this is methyl, this is oxo, right? 3 oxo, 4 hydroxy. Now let's go get the alphabet. This is hydroxy, this is oxo, and we know this is methyl. M, E, I, J, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, right? So H comes first. So it's 4 hydroxy, 1, 2 dimethyl, and then 3 oxo pentanitrile. Okay, this is a completely imaginary compound. You could probably have a 2-methyl, but 1, 2 dimethyl is a little pushing the limits. But again, I wrote it, so I got to name it. So I did. All right, now here, acid. This whole thing is acid, okay? Right? So you start numbering from the side. This is a carbon, so don't forget that. 3, 4, 5. 5 carbon, right? That's pentane, right? So acid is easy. That's the first thing we learned. Get rid of that E and write OIC acid, pentanoic acid. And then the hydroxy group is in the fourth spot, so 4-hydroxy pentanoic acid. It took me less time to solve all 5 compounds than actually teach you what it is. That's because once you kind of got the grip on what's happening, naming this should be a piece of cake, right? Now I wrote the names for all 5 compounds, probably less than a minute per compound. You can time it. So I'm well within the 10 minutes of the video. Now, which means I can say a couple of things. This is just a recommendation. I want you to watch every video at least more than once. Don't skip anything. Write any little information I have said. I've probably said a lot of finicky information throughout the video. It's really important that you pay attention to what is being said, write critical notes, and then as a class, when we do some things, you can raise your questions on how do I go about using this? I have a problem here, I have a problem there. Very important you tackle those critical areas of concern for a particular concept, then expecting the instructor to repeat everything all from scratch. That is possible, but again, it's not always possible because that is not really leading to a productive learning situation. All right, with that said, this is officially the last video for the concept of nomenclature pertaining just to naming compounds containing functional groups. All right, so stay tuned for more videos.